Coming up on this program, we show you how to get connected. Find out how to choose an internet service provider. Discover the newest form of communication, electronic mail.
Ways down and ready to ride. One by one, billion by billion, and holding up half the sky. Raise your hand if you're ready and willing, if you know it's time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a
Oh, well, that took a moment for me to arrive there, didn't it? I hope everybody is doing well today. Hi. Thanks for the raid. Did I see that there's a call-in raid? Is that what somebody said? Will there be rotting fish and undergarments involved? I can't guarantee either way because we are going to Thurston County for another TPO. Another one, yes, another one bites the dust. They are absolutely petty. Beyond petty, if you can believe it. Hey, just another Katie, Erica Thorpe, Cockingen. Thank you for using the correct terminology. Oh, you guys are so sweet. I hope everybody's doing well. Colin went to bed. It's fucking only like, what? It's not even 6 o'clock here. We stay up late around here. Hi, MB. Fence fight. That's right, folks. This is a true fence fight. I want you to get buckled in. I want you to take your... You couldn't say the F word here? Well, that's not my fault, Vince. You know me. Me and YouTube Daddy have our own problems, but I don't put any rules like that on. Oh, Mike's got it. Ain't no rest for the wicked, baby. That's exactly true. Vince, it's you specifically that's not allowed to say fuck. Takes after you. Anyways, okay, so it is perfect. Thank you guys for checking that. I appreciate that very much. So like I said, we actually have to get going on this because indeed it is a big case. Hold on. Why? Oh, yes. I'd like to welcome you all to the Ramada conference room where this sad bunch of people are prepared to talk to a judge. It is almost as depressing as what normally happens in a hotel conference room like this, which is a timeshare presentation that you try and get out of and still get whatever they promised you. So probably amongst the same level of depression, but definitely more petty here. Like I said, well, like you can see, this is a 2-hour, 20-minute docket. I've scrolled 40 minutes into it because we're going to watch one of these cases today. We have another one for tomorrow. And, you know. So, without further ado, I'd like to point out, I am, Nico, I don't know. Honestly, the gifting issues, I don't know what's happening. We've had small gifts go through lately, so we're lucky. I'm drinking my last apricot Red Bull. It's in my hand that's also holding a big joint. In my Bubba mug with ice. Ooh! Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, I like that username. 5. Woo! They all got given out. Amaze balls. Amaze balls. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nico. It's working. Thank goodness. Thank goodness gracious. Oh, you have water with Mio drops. yummer to your tummer, Dwight. What are we talking about? Are we talking about my drink? Are we talking about what are we talking about? And beautifully inappropriate. That's such a great username. I love it. I love it. Oh, Cross. I'm sorry. I don't know if you're new here. I don't think you're new here, but somebody else was new. I'm Canadian. I live in British Columbia, Canada, on Vancouver Island, and it is. It used to be weed central around here, but I traveled to Texas, and it's a pretty cool place. So I understand the difficulty there. Okay, shut up, Paisley. Let's go.
No, you folks at the same table. And then we have Mary Bigelow. Come up and take a seat at this table.
Bigelow?
Linda Struble. Is that you, ma'am?
Yay, 5 more people. Thank you so much, NPC. Hold on. You visited Vancouver Island 25 years ago and you loved it? That's so sweet. I've been here my whole life almost. I was born in Scotland, but now I've lived here for a long time. Because I'm an old lady. Well, I'm a 36-year-old lady. Thank you again, NPC. 2, 3, 4, 5. All got given out. Yes. That is so exciting. So exciting. And yes, Patrick, we are in the Holiday Inn Court. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bouchard Gardens. Yes, Bouchard. Butchart. I used to do cruise ship tours to the Bouchard Gardens a lot, and it is one of the great places. A pee-pee check. Okay, I will do that while we get going.
Come up and take a seat at that table, at that chair. And then we have Mickey Struble. You could come on up as well. And are you with them, ma'am? Keep coming, Mickey Struble. I'm talking to the, you're like, yes. Are you involved in this case also?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your name? Okay, is one of these folks going to call you as a witness? Okay, I'll just have you wait there for now, and then when the time comes. Yeah.
Oh my god, so much camera switching around here. MB with the amazing PayPal. I love you, my friend. Happy September to you too as well. Guess what I got? Watch this, bitches. That one's just for you, MB. Thank you so much. Look at me doing it. I'm doing Streamlabs job. Thank you so much, seriously. And Carol, you just got here. We don't even know. They're just sitting down. They're just sitting down.
Okay, so we have a number of cases here. First of all, Linda, and again, I want to make sure I know, Linda Stroop, that's you, ma'am?
Yes.
And that's you, Ms. Bigelow in the middle, and then you're Mickey Stroop.
And I may need to stand sometimes. I have some back issues. So
That's fine, absolutely. Do whatever you need to do to make yourself most comfortable. And then here we have Michael and Vicky here. So initially, Linda Struble asked for an order in 24-285 against Mike and Vicky here. And then on case 2488, 24288, 24289, and 24290, Michael and Vicky here have asked for separate orders against Ms. Bigelow, Ms. Linda Struble, and Ms. Mickey Struble. And so I guess since Linda Stru, okay, I guess we'll go in this order here. So I'll hear from Linda Struble first. She's a petitioner and then I'll hear from the Hares in response. They can address, and then I'll hear from them all with regard to, in response to Linda Struble's request for a protection order. I'll hear from them also on their request for no contact order against the other three folks. And so, Linda Struble, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear and affirm? Do you swear and affirm that information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So help me God.
You may put your hand down. And how is it? You also, this is another neighbor, which we actually see all too often, I should say. This is a neighbor situation as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you live next door to the Hares there?
Yes.
So how is it that you need an order against the Hares? Tell me what's been going on that, and again, you heard me, I think, give the definition of harassment. How is it that what the Hares are doing is harassing you?
Well, it started quite some time ago in 2019. So all of that we had hoped to have settled by the previous manager of the park where we lived, the mobile home park. We live very close.
You live next to each other? Or are you
Yes.
adjoining lots? What's the issue? Tell me what's been going on.
Well, they don't like.
Oh God, she is talking so slowly. Casey Carey, thank you again for that lovely super chat. Streamlabs, dude. Like, we're just working out the gift issues, and then now you're just so slow in saying this. Like, what is going on? I've said it now 3 times to Casey Carey. I love her messages. I love the little yellow heart. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Also, do you think I should get this going at 1.25? Because honestly, she does speak really slow. I've upped it. I've upped us to 1.25 speed, you guys. She's very much choosing her. Finally, thank you, Casey Carey. It won't be that fast, Nico. It won't. I promise. If it gets fast, we'll talk about it. We'll change it.
Like the way that that the trees or branches or bushes or anything go over onto their property. And for the past few years, 6 years, well, I haven't talked to them in 6 years, they would call the property manager, not property manager, but the park manager, and she would call me and say I needed to trim all the bushes.
Mhm.
And we had been appeasing them to do that, even though we couldn't even go on their property. So I'd have to get someone else to go over and do that. Well, when we became a co-op and we had a professional property management, they called them as about 3 weeks after bought the place, we all bought the park, and complained to them, just like they had the previous manager, that they wanted the bushes trimmed. And the Gateway, the new property management company, called and asked me, did I give the permission? And I said, of course, they've always had permission to trim on their side. Well, they were not happy.
Okay, last night we did members only. First of all, Skibbity Riz is a good thing. We learned that last night. Also, my daughter today used mid. Unironically, I tried to respond with other slang, but I messed it up. And I was just like, cap, no cap? And she was like, what? I was like, nothing. Anyways, thank you so much for that. Wahoo! Just because I'm Skibbity Riz. if you wonder what we're talking about, last night we did a special members only. If you're a member, you can go back and look at it. And we learned, I mean, it was educational. Educational. Also, yes, I do that sometimes, Nico, for sure. Sometimes I do it fast. Like, I watch a lot of court in 2x, but that's just because I watch a lot of court. You know what I mean? Oh. Oh my god, that's so funny. Everybody, if you need to know how to mew, we figured it out. It's really simple. But you have to watch members only to figure out. Skibbity-dee. No, see, I got it wrong again. Thank you. 222. I love that number, by the way. That's great.
That they would have to do trimming. Previously, I had to pay for 5 or 6 years of having someone do it and haul it off and do all the, and I had the maintenance person most of the time go over there because I didn't want to have any issues, and that way, but now that we don't have that maintenance person anymore. Oh, I don't know. There's been a lot.
Take your time. We have all morning. It's just a case or two left.
So as soon as Gateway called them back and said, yes, you have permission, not too long after that, a couple of days, I was out in my backyard and he yelled over the fence. I can't even say the things that they say without using profanity, or I can.
Well, you can, how about if you use like the first letter of the
Okay.
word that you.
So he said, he yelled at me. I was out in the yard. He yelled at me, cut your GD, SI, SI.
Cut your own GDSI. What in the flying fuck does that mean? I think she means cut your own goddamn shit. That's what she means. Cut your own goddamn shit. But she can't even, she's like me with the fucking kids slang these days.
Age, whatever. And it just startled me. So I didn't respond at all. I just went in the house. So anyway, he didn't like the idea that he had to trim things on his side. So not too long after that, I get home and I was having a nice day, and it was, I think, on the 20th, I started writing this down. I have my notes here.
Some people are saying it's the best. Loud. Some people are actually saying it's the best. Many people, in fact. I hope you are having a good day. Let's enjoy this, shall we?
So I didn't hear anything, just some loud yelling and fighting and stuff. That was the normal for them. But on the 17th, I came
Was
home.
that fighting between the two of them? Was that fighting directly
Yes,
to you?
the two of them. It's always at that.
I just wanted to know whether that was directly. Go ahead, you make it.
And in fact, they do a lot of that.
Okay, well, that's not germane to
No,
whether or not you're
that's
entitled
not.
to an order. So I want to know what your interaction with them.
Right. So on the 17th of August, no, on the 20th, I think it was the 20th of June, I get out there, I go outside, and we came home from, went to the casino and came home, and I looked outside, and there was this pile of branches over onto my side of the fence, and it had crushed my flowers out there and knocked over my bird bath thing and statue and some of my solar lights, and it was just piled with branches. So I came in and I called Gateway. I had my friend, and she's also a board member.
Is that the woman in back there?
Yes.
Okay, continue on.
And she and her husband helped me take the branches off because there were quite a few, and brought them back. And I called because that was what I was supposed to do, is have a board member know and then call property management if you had any problems. So I've cleaned that all up, and I thought, and I understood that Gateway, the property management, had called and said, it's not throw the debris over on the other person's property. It was over a 6-foot fence, so it was all like, came down onto my plants and crushed some bushes. So then, let me see. So then that was in June. And then in August, I came home and there were more bushes, there were more branches and things over the fence. And I know that they had already been asked not to do by Gateway. And I came home and there were branches all over in my plants again. So I put them over the fence. This is a 6-foot fence, so I can barely reach, but I put them back. I thought, no, they shouldn't be put on my side and destroying my property again. So I thought it was solved. I called Gateway. I talked to Pam, one of the board members, and I thought that would take care of it. I get up Sunday morning, the next day at 8 o'clock, and I open up. That's my main view of my backyard from my front room window. And I got up and they were all back over again. So I went back out and I started putting them over the fence. And they must have seen me from their porch.
It was the story that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friends. Some judge started hearing it, not knowing what it was, and he'll continue hearing it forever just because it was the song. Oops, you know what I meant. Good one. Got me into song.
And Vicky was like, okay, I'll take care of this. And she started throwing him back over. And and there was a lot of profanity going on. From the porch, I was hearing F you, F you, F you, and BITCH and all these things. And it just, so I realized, oh, and she said we could do this all day because I kept trying to put them back. And it just got to be so that I knew she said that it wasn't going to stop. So I just took some of the branches and took them to the very backyard where it couldn't keep dumping onto my plants. And I put him over the lower fence. Well, she came running around the side of the house and started throwing him back. So I just left him there and went inside. And meanwhile, she was just standing there shaking. She was so angry. And I told her I would call the police, and she said, call and see what happens. So I was upset, and I went in and called my daughter and said, this has happened for the 3rd time now. And so then she came right over because she lives in the park also. She's been there about 2 years to help, especially since I had cancer surgery about 3 years ago. She's moved into the park to help with different things for me. And she came over and parked in front of their house on the street, went onto the sidewalk in front of their house, and they had come running down and started yelling and screaming and cussing at her. And she said, I want you not to keep harassing my mother. And she knew that I was being upset. And then they asked her to get off the property, but she was not. She was just on the sidewalk. So she came back over. I had never gone onto their property ever in all these years. We didn't talk for 6 years after the first.
I'm going to stop you and I'm going to thank you. I'm going to swear in, I guess, which one of the Hares wishes to speak? Mr. Hare. I'll hear from him in response to what you have told me. Then he's asking for orders against you and your daughter and Ms. Bigelow. I'll ask him why he wants those orders. Then I'll get a response from Ms. Bigelow and you, ma'am, the Struble. So, Mr. Hare, could you raise your right hand, please? You swear and affirm that information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you put your hand down. You've heard what she had to say, so I'll hear from you in response.
Okay. Well, most part is that it's about the bushes. And for 6 years, the old management, we cut them down every year because I got a $2,000 fence I put up and it's rotting because the branches get stuck in between them and lay on it. And for 6 years, that's the way it went. She get them cut, we'd get a whole manager, and she never did it on her own. The manager always had to tell her time to cut those bushes back, encroaching on his property, and that was sort of the rule. And then when the new management took over here this last year, it seemed like nothing was going to be done at all about it. We called 5 or 6 times to the property manager. We even called the organization that supposedly is the organization that owns this place now, and nobody did anything at all. So I took to cutting them on my own, that was on my side of the fence, and I tossed them back over. Wasn't aware that once I cut them that I inherited them, and that I was the one then supposed to pay to dispose of them. And that's basically what it came down to. And then it got all blown out of proportion that day. And there was cussing, both sides were cussing each other. And the threat of calling the cops was fine. And I was agreeable to that. Call them, let's get them over here and get this taken care of. Would have been pretty short. And a phone call probably would have solved this whole problem. But instead, they decided to come rush in my house and saying I was threatening her mother. Threatening, did you say you're going to kill my mother? Did you got a gun, Mr. Hare? Things like this. They just kept antagonizing me, getting me louder and louder and louder. And none of it was true. And then she went and got the president of this organization. And
Yeah, we can. I thought my heart was racing, but it was the him talking. We'll go to normal. Normal speed because these people are decently normal.
and 2 more people. There was 4 of them then. Now this one comes up onto my porch, banging on my door. I opened the door, asked her what she wanted, and she started telling me, you're threatening the neighbor and we're going to evict you. And then I told her, if you would have took your job, this would have never continued. It would have been over with by now. And she takes her finger and she goes to my face and starts telling me, shut up, shut up. And one time her finger actually hit my nose. I told her that's an assault.
Just slow down a little bit. And who you're talking about? You're talking about,
I'm talking about the president of the organization. Now, that
okay,
would be
so,
No, Mary.
just-
Mary.
okay. So
This is how
So
but
slow down-
Linda
slow down
didn't
a
have
little
much
bit.
more to do
back up,
after that.
just Mr. Hare, just slow down, back up. And go ahead. How did Ms. Bigelow become involved in this?
She is a president, right?
Yeah.
I guess they called her and she come down. And I guess she was going to show some authority and come in and tell me she was going to evict me and that I was threatening the neighbor and I broke some rules of the park, which there was never a threat, ever one threat. If you look into things, you don't even see him mention a threat. And if there was, what was the threat? There was none. But the thing is, she was on my front porch, banging on my door and pointing her finger, telling me to shut my mouth, and then went at my face with her hand. This is not, I don't think, the way that somebody who's a president of a mobile home senior park should be treating senior citizens. And the other ones came in at that point, came in off the street. They were on the other side of my fence and actually did enter my property. I told them, you know what, this has gone far enough. You're trespassing. It's time for you to leave. And there was cussing, both sides. A lot of accusations being made that weren't true. We never stole her damn food from the food bank.
Who stole whose food from the food bank? Did anybody say that? So much drama. This is so it's not the fun kind. It's not like the Villages. Do you think they have branch fights or is it like palm leaf fights? Like your palm tree dropped its leaves on my yard and vice versa, or what? I don't know why people in Thurston County are just so goddamn petty.
Anything further?
No, just that's about it.
Okay, and your interaction with Ms. Bigelow was confined to that particular incident at that
Front
time?
porch, yes.
And then what
Daughter was
about
being,
Ms. Struble, the younger?
yeah, she was the threatening, she was sort of the bully of the little gang they had. She was telling my wife, egging her on, hit me, hit me, hit me. And then telling her, I'll put you in the ground. Then she'd turn around and F off and die. this is the kind of thing that we were putting up with on our property. Then, like I said, a phone call would have probably took care of this whole situation. Got blown way out of proportion. And then I felt attacked. And if it would have been men, it would have been a gang, considered a gang. But it was 4 women.
So Ms. Bigelow, could you raise your right hand, please? You swear and affirm the information testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
I have a motion to dismiss to read. Would you like that first, or do you want me to testify? How would you like me to proceed?
I'd like you to testify. We're all here. We
All
can
right.
swear you in, and if you've been sworn in, and then, yeah, just let me know what you think, and then I'll hear your motion at the end of everything. Just
All
let me
right,
get
thank
everything
you.
in place.
You've read my filed statement.
Yeah.
Correct?
But I do
So
want you to, if you could summarize for the
Yes,
record, that would be
I
great.
will. I am a board member of the co-op. The co-op just recently came into fruition. I was one of the people who helped make that happen. It was a long and arduous process. And the whole reason I went over there was to provide the Hares with the community rules and the bylaws and show them where they were violating that. As a board member, we are privy to all of the issues that are happening because it's reported to us by the property management company. It's not something that we talk to members about because it's confidential. And we had on notice several times that Linda Struble had been had branches thrown on her property by the Hares after they trimmed it on their property. I know that Gateway, the management company, had told the Hares that they could not toss this is what they reported to the board, that they could not toss the branches onto Linda Struble's property, that they had every right to cut them because it's overhang, but they did not have the right to do that. They'd been put on notice a number of times. It was Sunday, and in general, unless it's fire, flood, or famine, the property management company is not available on a Sunday. And I got called by Mickey Struble saying that her mom was extremely upset and was crying and shaking. And Mickey went over and she said she told the Strubles to leave her mother alone, and that they came at her incredibly enraged. She was on the sidewalk. This is what she said. She was on the sidewalk, and that he was yelling at her so much so that his
Objection, hearsay. Well, it's not hearsay because she is a party, but objection, best evidence. Like, this is not the best person to get in the evidence of what the lady beside her said. The lady beside her has to testify about that. This lady is giving me Karen vibes. I'm just saying that. And Erica raises a good point. Send a fucking letter, HOA lady. Why the fuck would you roll up to somebody's house? You know? Why? Send a letter with a picture. Isn't that what HOAs do? I thought that's literally what an HOA does. So, again, yesterday we had the buddy who had the HOA pay for his lawyer for the TPO case. Now today we have the HOA or co-op president. They're calling it a co-op. That's a hippie way of saying HOA. Okay? Somebody who's allowed to tell you what to do and you give them money. Same shit.
teeth came out. And the level of rage that he had was frightening. And so Pam Lamborghini behind me is the vice president. I'm the president of the board. We both are privy to the steps that have taken place to mitigate this. And so she called me and we met at Linda Struble's house and discussed what we should do. And we determined that we should deliver them the rules and bylaws and let them know that the way that this all can stop is if they adhere to the rules. So myself and Pam was behind me. I knocked on their door. I didn't bang on their door. I knocked on their door loudly because my experience so far is that many of the people in the park can't hear. So I knocked loudly. If it was too loud, I apologize. But I said that we had a complaint that they were tossing limbs onto Linda Struvel's property.
Now listen, if she came in here and they were tossing real limbs, I would understand maybe, no, you would call the police in that case. But seriously, you're acting like they were tossing somebody's chopped up limbs onto the property, not a goddamn tree.
And I didn't get much more out than that. And Mr. Hare said BS. And then he came out onto the porch, followed by his wife, and screamed at me that she was a liar, screamed that they were all liars. And I just said, you need to stop yelling at me. And he did not. And ultimately, and I categorically deny that I ever put my hands in his face. I did not do that.
Did she say that already, Vince? You've seen this. Are you sure she said that? I'm going back. Going back. We're gonna fucking figure this out.
My hand, and she was a liar, screamed that they were all liars. And I just said, you need to stop yelling at me. And he did not. And ultimately, and I categorically deny that I ever put my hands in his face. I did not do that. I did ask him to not yell at me. And as then ultimately, they were just yelling. I asked them, I tried to give them the bylaws. They refused them, said a bunch of stuff about the co-op and me and whatever. It was not pleasant. And then he asked me to get off his property, which I did, started to, and then she said something about the rules. I turned around and said, do you want a copy of these? She said, no. And I said, okay. And we started walking off. Pam was already out on the sidewalk. I was just about there. I closed the gate fairly strongly because it was sticky when I tried to get in. And I was heated. I was definitely heated. I don't like being yelled at like that. It was kind of scary having him yell in my face. He talks about a senior community. I too am a senior. I too am, I think I'm older than they are, actually. And it was frightening.
I'm not asking anyone's age.
Hmm?
I'm not asking anyone's age.
You are a good man. So I've never, ever spoken to the Hares before, ever, that I know of. And certainly I've never been to their property or house. I've never knocked on their door. I've never done anything. And we just wanted them to know that they needed to adhere to the rules, because the next step, and what I did say is the next step is a move for eviction. I was concerned that they would be evicted. I don't want them evicted. I think that's a horrible thing to have happen. But property management companies follow a process, and we wanted them to be aware of the rules. That's what we wanted. And then he was yelling at me more, and I said, he's called me, can't remember exactly what he called me, but something. And I said, say that to my face, buddy. I was on the outside of the fence at that time. And then he started to come down the stairs, and his wife tried to hold him back, but he came down the stairs and got in my face. And then when they realized they were being videoed, he was doing this on the video. And I don't feel like he was trying to attack me at all. Like, he was just being, I don't know what he was being, but he did that. That's it.
And then you, Mickey Struble, could you raise your right hand, please?
Yes,
You swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You can put your hand down and go ahead, ma'am. Anything you wish to say. You've heard your name has been mentioned a few times. I'll hear from you regarding all this.
Okay, so I have the history from my mother. It's been an ongoing thing. It started way back a few years, I think maybe 6 years, whenever they moved in, there was some contention there about the property lines and fencing, and the way we resolved at that point is I worked with the property management at the time. I was actually traveling for some work, and I worked with her to put in, and my mother actually moved some flowers back when we put a fence in, and I paid for the fencing, and the property manager paid to have it installed. And then every time something would come up with trimming, my mom would have some neutral person trim it on their side and pull the stuff away. And this seemed to be pretty good for several years. And
Until the maintenance person went away. I've
the
heard.
maintenance person went away. And so there was no longer this person. So I remember called the property management and said, you know, and they said, well, they're allowed to trim on their side. And then she explained what had happened with it. So I think that's where the change happened, is that now they were angry about having to trim on their side and remove it. So I had this history, and I know this had been going on for a while, and she had been calling the property management, and it was a Sunday. The property management was closed on Sunday. So she called me crying, very upset that they had done it for like 3 times in a row. So I went over there. I drove my car over there. I live in the park as well. I parked in front of their place. And I walked up to the sidewalk and I said, hello. And they came out, they rushed out very quickly. They were much angrier when I was there, when it was just me, than when it was 3 of us. There was never 4. I don't know, were 4 or 5. I think in the thing it said 5 and then 4.
There's literally 4 of you on the screen. There's 3 of you at the table and Vice Prez back there. Where do you think 4 came from? Right the fuck there.
So, but at first it was just me. And I said, I want you to stop harassing my mother and quit throwing things over the fence. And then they were calling me a liar. There was cussing back and forth. And finally, in the end, they said, fuck off. And I just get off my property. And I said, fuck you off. I said the same thing. And I wasn't very pleasant either. And so I left. I never entered their property. I was always on the sidewalk on the outside of the gate. I just wanted this stuff to stop. I've been going to my mother's for 15 years. And I've never had any actual interaction with them except for this one incident. And it was very obvious that I should not have, and have no intention ever of interacting with them. I would have liked to maybe come to some kind of resolution where we could have trimmed. I'm happy to pay for some trimming if that would have resolved it, but I'm not sure that it would. But there wasn't any space for that to happen that day. So I went back, I left. And what I said as I was leaving. And I went back over to my mother's and I called the board because I knew property management wasn't available. And again, I want to say there was never 5 people at any time. I don't understand where that number came from. Because
Just the 3 of you?
Yes, it was me, and then Pam and Mary when we went back.
All right, thank you. And then, ma'am, I haven't heard from you yet. Is there anything you wish to say at this
Yes,
time?
I would.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Swear and affirm the information and testimony that you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Well, when Mary came to our home, well, first I'll back up. When Mickey came at first by herself, she didn't enter the property, but she pulled up in a very aggressive manner and jumped out of her car, ran to the sidewalk and started yelling at us to stop harassing her mother, stop throwing things over the fence. There were words exchanged or whatever. And then she left and went over to her mother's. And when there were 4 of them, there was Mary and Mickey and Linda and Pam. They all came into our property and they were on, Linda stayed back by the fence, but she was inside our fence. They came and they pounded on the door so hard that it actually frightened me. I was very leery. And we came out on the porch and my husband and I didn't leave the porch, and Mary was standing on the porch very closely. And as they were all arguing, I didn't think she was being friendly. So she asked if we wanted the copy of the rules and bylaws. And I said, no, because we already have them. We were not aware before this particular day that it was against the law for us to throw the branches back onto her property, which if we had known that, we wouldn't have done it.
But
Doesn't that make sense though?
Well, no, because as we kept yelling at her, it's your stuff. You trim it, you've done it every year, and now for some reason, this year, they've decided not to do it.
Well, I think you heard why.
Because it lays on our fence and it's rotting our fence. And
But I mean, you heard why it didn't get cut anymore.
well, I'm not understanding why it didn't get cut anymore. Nobody's ever had to come on our property to cut it. They've always done it from her property. And I'm really, what I feel like that day, if Mary wanted to confront us about this, she could have called on the phone. They didn't have to come at us like a gang, which all their behavior was very aggressive, I felt, and didn't think that that was at all necessary. There's things in their statements all that are not accurate, but I'm not going to bore you with all those.
I want to point one other thing out, and this is a difference between Canada and America. But at the very least, when I was in America, I noticed that you guys have, at least where I was traveling, a very, very, what I would call robust garbage pickup. Like, I think twice a week in some places, maybe once a week. Plus, it seems like the bins and what they take is very open. You don't have to sort things. Like, you can just, and I don't know if that's everywhere, but I'm telling you, like, that's when I was visiting Florida last year. And so here, if you can't put branches in, like, we have a compost bin that's called a green bin, and you are allowed to put compost in there. You're allowed to put some yard waste in there, but you wouldn't want to put all of it in there. But there is a place to take it. Now, the thing that I'm wondering is, like, also, aren't you a lot of people burn that kind of stuff, right, in America? But here, garbage, I think, gets picked up once every 2 weeks. And it's one bin. Once every 2 weeks. And you have to not only sort your recycling, but you have to prepare it. So, like, you have to deconstruct all of your cardboard and wash all of the plastic and all of the glass and everything like that. You have to wash out so that it is clean before you put it in the recycling. And also you cannot put food in the garbage. There's like a city ordinance against that. And if they find, and they track, which I don't like, but if they find like food garbage in your garbage bin, sorry, you can lose your pickup rights altogether, or they can fine you. I can't tell you how many times I like put out my recycling and was like, okay, I've got mostly everything, handled properly, because you have to have 4 different bins. One for cardboard, one for plastic, one for metal, and then one for, I guess, paper. And so if you have, but I can't tell you how many times I've come home, and you know what? They're such dicks. You know what they do? They put a fucking bright yellow sticker on your bin, and they don't take it. They don't take it. And then, because recycling only comes once every 2 weeks, you can imagine now you've got 2 weeks, 4 weeks of recycling to store before you can fucking take it. And then, the 4th bin is for kink recycling. That's right, loud. That's for all the dildos. But anyways, food is not acceptable in the garbage bins at all. It is one of the biggest, like, the hardest parts for me. Like, a lot of people have garbarators here, or garbage disposals, because you can't put food in it. Also, how does our electricity work? Hydroelectricity, Vince. It's all powered by water. extra clean, delicious, beautiful water as well. That's actually not a lie. British Columbia is powered by BC Hydro, which has hydroelectric dams all over the province because we are blessed with beautiful mountains and many, many rivers and lots of water.
Those, because they're not pertinent to this. It's just little things here and there, but this has caused both of us. My husband has a very bad heart condition and
Yeah, and that has to be said. I live in Victoria on Vancouver Island. It is hippie central Canada, and so it is quite progressive in the rules and all that kind of shit. But anyways, so I'm not saying that this is informative of all of Canada. It's just my experience here in Canada. It's just my experience here in Canada.
several days after this, he was so shook by this that I was afraid that he might either have a heart attack or a stroke. And I have been just a bundle of nerves over this because we don't feel that we have done anything so terrible that if everybody would just, her daughter says that she would arrange to have the bushes cut. All right, if you felt that way, why did you let it get this far? Why didn't you just do it? Because you know it's been done every year. So that was our complaint. That was all this big stuff is all about. It just seemed like it was too much made out of it till it got to be a big blown up issue. And as far as talking about evicting us, we didn't feel that we had done something so terrible that we should be evicted for it. We've never been aggressive except that fact on our side of the fence. And yes, we've thrown branches back over. We didn't intentionally break her plants. We didn't know what she has on the other side of the fence. I can't even see over it. But it's just gotten to the point where if they would just arrange every year when these branches, well, these trees grow up, I don't know, maybe 20 feet tall. And if they would just arrange to have this stuff cut every year, there would be no problem whatsoever. We keep to ourselves. We expect everybody else to keep to themselves. And that's basically all I have to say.
Thank you. What sort of tree are we talking about here? I forgot to ask
I
that.
don't know. They just grew up when I started, when I got theirs.
Are they trees or bushes or?
Those are the bushes.
It's a bush.
Okay, good, ma'am. That's you. All right.
The,
All right.
the
So,
thing, the thing was that I paid for it every time.
Well, because
And I paid
so you
for
need to be
the,
quiet, ma'am.
I paid for that to happen every time.
So, Mr. Okay, before you, Mr. Fields, we're almost done. We'll start with you in a minute. That's fine. So, here's what's going to happen today. So basically yes, ma'am.
May I make a motion to dismiss?
We'll just stand by for a minute. Let me
Okay.
tell you what I'm going to do and
Thank you.
maybe that'll take care of it.
Okay, thank you.
And so with regard to, again, there's 4 separate actions here. Ms. Struble is asking for an order against the Hares, and then the Hares are asking for an order against Ms. Bigelow, and then both Strubles. But so essentially what happened here, there seems to be a lot of agreement on what exactly happened here is that some bushes or trees or some sort of foliage is growing on Ms. Linda Struble's property that occasionally grows, as things do around here, and it overhangs a fence. In the past, there had been a few instances where Ms. Struble would take care of that, have that paid for, or have that taken care of by a maintenance person who apparently no longer works at this particular establishment, this housing, the senior housing development, I guess would be the best way to put it. And so then that stopped. And then, and when you live on a piece of property and some tree or a bush on the adjoining piece of property overhangs onto your property, it's your responsibility and right to take care of that. And it's not appropriate to, which should be intuitive, I would think, is just to cut it off and
Hold on
then
1 second.
toss it into the,
Hold on, cut it off and toss it into there. I'm putting out a poll, only one. So your options are, is the TPO granted? Yes, no, only, oh fuck, hit a button. Only one side. And then I'll just put in one other option. Also, I've already just decided we are going to get through all the petty tonight. And then I'll just make petty an option here. Look at me starting polls in the middle of a show. Woo! Look at that. That's incredible. Get your votes in, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to close that poll quickly so that we can decide and see how good did we do. How good did we do? So just to keep in mind, everybody wants a TPO against everybody else, except me. I don't. Vince, I know, but that's okay. I'm acceptable for that. I'm acceptable for that. That's not the right words. It's not the right words, even though Cindy's impressed, but that's what the poll. Oh, I handle a poll very well, Cindy. Very, very well. All right. Don't we all, Vince? Oh, you meant a different kind of PP, I think. Okay. Get your last votes in. Last votes, last votes, last votes. No more bets soon. I don't have no more bets loaded up here. I gotta get my no more bets loaded up. Okay, that's 30 people voted. Did all of you guys manage to hit the like button? Because I know you know how to click buttons. I know it. All right, we're ending the poll. It says 63% say no, 13% say yes, 7% say only one side, and 17% just said petty. Ended. Let's see the results, YouTube daddy. Oh, look. Putting words in my mouth. Poll closed. I didn't say that. I guess that's what's happening, though. I didn't see the results. That's weird. Anyways, let's see what the judge has to say.
the neighbor's yard. And again, there's some dispute as to whether or not they'd been told whether you can or can't do that. And then Ms. Bigelow, is my understanding, was that in the bylaws?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not tree branches,
But
but
throwing-
that you
but throwing-
can't harass
Right.
a person continuously.
And so I find the act of, cutting the branches, frankly, that's going to be your responsibility. Ms. Struble was doing you a favor over the years for having that taken care of, but if it overhangs onto your property, you can make arrangements to have that cut. You might have to bear the cost of that. There are limits on that. You can't do something that kills the tree or anything like that, although which I've seen happen in this arena. And so you can't do that, but you can certainly cut branches that overhang onto your property. What you cannot do is take those branches or cuttings and throw them into the your next door neighbor's yard, which apparently happened on more than one occasion, which I would find that it's a series of acts. Again, you're just doing that just to do it, and for lack of a better term, get Ms. Struble's goat, which you clearly did. So I will find that activity is harassing. I'll grant the order from Linda Struble requesting, the order you're just not to talk to each other. There's no distance restriction or anything like that. So it's not going to affect your ability to go to and from your house or anything like that. You just can't have for the next year. You're not to have any contact with Ms. Linda Struble. Do you understand that?
Yes.
With regard to your petition against the other three, those are all going to be denied. I don't find there was an incident. There was apparently a blow up where voices were raised on all parties, but that's not a series of acts over a period of time, which leads to the rebel harassment. So I'm going to deny those orders. But I think everybody knows how everybody feels. If a pattern does develop, you can bring this back and we can look at it again. But those are going to be the orders here for today. I'm going to grant Ms. Linda Struble's order, and then your request for orders against all those three will be denied. Go ahead, sir.
Did I have my rights to bear arms and buy a weapon back?
That in the,
And it was in the order that I couldn't buy or purchase or have any weapons on my property.
give me just a second.
I've never had a law, anything against a gun, never used a gun.
That's a good question, Bill. Also, I remembered just now, what in the conference hall is this? Lisa Smith, it is a fucking shit show.
Yeah, no. Again, just by way of background, and domestic violence related orders, yes, that does for a surrender of firearms. In these sorts of cases, anti-harassment, in order to find some sort of, like if a weapon was used. And so it's written in there, but that was never part of the order. The box needs to be checked for you to surrender weapons and all of that. That box was not checked. So your firearm rights were never affected one way or
Okay,
the other.
fine, that's great.
And so again, the order will, let's see. So do you have a full order and deny? Okay, thank you. So give me just a stick.
If you can believe the next case
Give me a
coming
few
up, I
moments to
believe is
fill
going to
these
be
out,
even
and then you'll all
pessier.
get copies of them, and you'll all be all free to go.
They were there and the clerk printed all of the denials and then she dropped them and all the papers got messed up. And she got entirely very frustrated and flustered and ended up having to tell everybody to leave and that she would mail them to them. But I guess she had printed out like 4 copies or something like that and then dropped them or something and they all got mixed up. So you can just know that they were just 20 minutes waiting. The judge was in the back while she, I guess, was unable to figure it out. And now we're moving on to, they were denied denials, that's right. Now we are moving on. I'm glad because honestly, this case is crazier too.
Do you want to email him?
They will be available on record today, but I'm already almost done.
Okay. It's not a good technology day.
Then
I'm gonna wait for my paperwork.
Oh, they're still there. God damn it, ladies, leave.
no, just. Me too.
Four, excuse me.
Yes, they were small.
Did
Here
you
we
get
go
the
now.
denial or two?
No, I didn't see them, I thought they left, so.
Okay.
That'll be a little bit.
So Mr. Schwenning, I see you're on the Zoom call. Could you activate your camera? As Mr. John.
So we used to use a spinning, like basically you get cones and those cones go into these holders and then you add them in, like all the weed in, and then what we would use was a spinning like centrifuge almost to like push the weed down. And then we actually, I think they used a candy, like the machine that twists candy wrappers to twist the end of the weed back in the day. This was pre-legalization in Canada, so obviously things have changed a little bit now. It's very expensive, but that was what on a large scale they used. Like when I managed a dispensary and I would make like, I think we would make like 50 joints at once. I had like it was like a cone packer, and you put in all the 50 cones and then you ground up the weed and then you put it in and then you packed them all down. But it was a lot faster if you could just, Put it in the machine.
Johnson, and then Terrence. I think you and Mr. Klingberg were together. Is that correct?
Can't hear you yet. Yes, sir, that's correct.
And you're Mr. Klingberg, and then Terrence is in kind of the maroon shirt whose shoulder I can see. Is that all? There you are. All right. And so, can I get started on this? Or do you need-
What was that?
So can I get started? We need to-
You can get started. It's gonna be a while before everything's all mixed up.
Okay.
So,
So-
Get started.
Hang on just a minute, but
I'm gonna need a little bit of time. The papers are all mixed up.
Okay.
It doesn't work.
okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I may have to take a break if because the clerk is involved in wrapping up the previous hearing. So Mr. Fields, my mistake, is here in court. He's asking for orders against all three of you folks and four, excuse me. And so Mr. Fields, I'll hear from you first. Looks like all your petitions, I did review the petitions. They look kind of similar. And I'm frankly, I'm having a difficult time figuring out where we're at here. So I'm hoping you can clear that up for me. So could you raise your right hand, please? You swear and affirm the information you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
How is it you need orders against, again, I'm going to go through each one of these.
Okay.
Start this because this is the order of the calendar.
Mhm.
Mr. Allen first, then Mr. Johnson, then Mr. Schwenning, and then Mr. Klingberg. But before you start, I just have one question. Do you live at Drexel House too?
Yes,
So
sir.
all five of you folks live at Drexel House, is that correct?
Yes,
Yes, Your Honor.
except for
Yes, Your Honor.
Stephen. Even though he lives with Terrence, he doesn't live there.
Okay,
He's out of his caregiver, but he's there
okay,
all the
so
time.
again, how is it that, why do you need orders against these folks?
Okay, for
Terrence, start with Terrence Allen first, just because he's
Terrence.
first on the calendar.
Terrence Allen. He has verbally attacked me. He has followed me outside the building, across the street. Then him and Stephen, Terrence was in front yelling at me. He spit on me. Stephen was behind him with a knife, and they actually tried to assault me. Then one of the guys came out and pulled me away from there. Stephen tried to hit me with his car. Since I moved in July of last year, I've had issues with Terrence and with Stephen for the same issues. They will follow me to the gas station. Stephen will follow me to the Albertsons. He always has the knife and other weapons with him.
This is Stephen Klingberg you're
Yes,
talking about?
Yes, he does. He will actually follow me inside of Albertsons. At home, Mr. Terrence Allen has threatened me over and over. He spit in my face. I called the landlord, and I do have a copy of the December, when it started again, I have a copy of the police report. And the police told me the number is 20.
Okay, I
You
don't
need that?
have access to that. You
Okay.
could, and, you know, in terms of a police report, I can't get those.
Okay, well, I did file the police report. They said I had to come here and deal with the harassment first, and then also I put in for small claims as well for the money that they owe me. Mr. Allen has owed me since the beginning of the year. He was going to pay it, and then they got belligerent and said he's not going to do anything, cost me everything.
How much money does he owe you?
He owes me $1,000.
Why?
I lent him money when we went to a casino. Same thing with Mr. Stephen. He has got money out of my room and says he's going to pay me back, and he didn't want Alan to know anything about it. He owes me also $1,000.
So,
And they can
everybody at home to make this face too. Why didn't I make that the thumbnail? Actually, I do a better shocked face than him. That is so fake. Do we think it's fake, American courts? I think it's fake. What? No. Creed Jr. Loud, you know that you're in Creed's head, right? He keeps thinking about that 1%, 2% comments. This is such a weird group. You think the money was for something else? Oh. I see. I'm just surprised he had that much money to be loaning out. Like, no offense, but like, it sounds like transitional housing. I mean, just times be tough. Also, don't loan people money to go to a fucking casino. That's a terrible idea. Terrible idea. Only gamble with money you have and that you can afford to lose. That's the key. Money that you can afford to lose.
He owes me also 1,000.
So,
And they continue harass me, saying they're not going to pay me. They drop me off on the corner or try to tag me on the side of the corner. And that's when it all got worse. And that's when I went to the landlord.
and so what do the folks at Drexel House have to say about all this?
They claim that they won't tell me what they've done to them, but it's still happening. Even
And they're
yesterday.
still living there?
Yes, sir. Even yesterday, when I was leaving the building, Terrence was right behind me. Right behind me. He should not be around me at all. And they continue to do it, even after you gave them this.
What about, I
preliminary.
haven't heard anything about Mr. Schwenning or Mr. Johnson.
So we do one thing at a time. I can go
Okay.
to the next one.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Swing, Joshua, he is the one who actually put my computer inside my room. When he did that, he intentionally yelled at me again. I guess he's on some kind of medication. And when he's not on the medication, he will come into the room. He hit me once, then turned around, sent me another text message to come upstairs because he owed me money as well. I went upstairs, he opened the door, then he slammed the door in front of me. I never went inside his room whatsoever, and that's what I reported to the management again, going to their lawyer as well. He says that he has sexually harassed me, and he actually sent a picture of him.
I'm sorry, he what? Oh, sexual harassment. I think maybe you might be onto something. Was that what the payment was for? Okay. Sexual harassment. If you're new here, we don't laugh at well, we do. We laugh at it, but we laugh at everything. It's our coping mechanism.
Himself in not clothed, and I have a copy of that picture as well. He will continue. His car is in front. He came to where I used to have a vehicle. He came to my car and said that I owed him money because I should have paid him more money for doing the computer. I paid him the $200 that he asked for. He turns around and took more money from me. He owes me a total of $455 because all the stuff that he asked me to buy, he's now will not do it. And he continues tells me that that I'm a fag, he's a fag, that all of them together, I guess they know each other, Terrence, Allen, and Joshua. And I can't deal with him because when he is not on his medication or when he's doing drugs, he approaches me. And that's the issue I have. As for Mr. Johnson, Michael, he actually in front of Gina yelled at me again. What happened with him was he actually had my vehicle, had an accident, would not, first he said that it was the guy's fault, but he hit the guy from behind. He will not pay me the money that he owes me for that.
So he was in your car?
He was in my car and had a accident. And they totaled the car completely. He did give me $200. I can say that. But other than that, he has not paid the rest of it, which is a total of $5,000. And that's a copy of what the insurance company that I lost.
Okay.
And that's why all of them is together.
Well, let me hear from them. And Mr. Allen, I'm just gonna, again, just because this is the order that's on the calendar, I'll go Mr. Allen, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Schwenning, and then Mr. Klingberg. So Mr. Allen, could you raise your right hand? What were you saying
I do
something?
have text messages from all of them of what they owe me.
Okay, I don't see, did you file any of that?
No, I tried to get it to it, but I have it here.
Okay, okay, hang on, just put your hand down there just for a second.
I have text messages from them.
Okay. So Mr. Allen, go raise your hand. Sorry about that. You swear to affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, yes, sir.
You can put your hand down. I'll hear your response to what Ms.
Okay, Judge DJ Kometz makes a terrible joke sometimes when people are putting their hands up to take the oath, and he always says, now make sure you don't smack your lawyer, or don't smack anybody, but this is the only instance I've ever been actually worried. Like, it's an odd placement for his arms. Buddy looks afraid too. He's like, I'm gonna get hit in the head.
Mr. Fields is asking for. You can put your hand down.
It's just the lag in the computer.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, Your Honor, none of that is true. The part I owe him money is true because we went to the casino and he did give me money to play, and I said I would pay him back, and I just hadn't paid him back yet, which I will pay him back. But the rest of the stuff is not true. There's no, I've never assaulted him. I never verbally assaulted him. I never did any of those things to him. I didn't follow him outside, across the street, or anything like that. I have witnesses here for that incident that happened that night. I have witnesses here that the person that he was involved in, I have them here in my place as a witness, if that's the incident that he's talking about. And I also have the gentleman that he says told him to stop, which is my neighbor, which is the person that lives right next door to me, that they were all there. So none of that is true. The only thing is true is that he gave me some money to play at the casino. I wasn't feeling well. I was going to come back home, and I didn't want to ruin his night and my friend's night because that was driving him. So I decided to just stay in the car. They made me get out of the car and go in the casino, and my foot was swollen so big. It was just huge. And I just was so uncomfortable. And that's.
Sir, please don't talk about your huge swollen foot. NPC, thank you so much. You're so sweet. That's amazing. He was talking about his huge swollen feet. I feel terrible. And what kind, and Nico, again, good question. Good question. Was this a casino that had an attached motel or hotel to it? I am wondering that myself. I doubt it. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I don't think he won.
I said I owe him money. He loaned me money or to play at the casino, and I pay him back. That's it. I never was belligerent about it. I said I never sent him nasty emails about it or anything like that.
How much do you owe him?
He gave me $200. I also have the text messages from that particular the evening or what have you, and me telling him that I'll pay him back what I owe him, and it's nowhere near $1,000. I don't even know where that came from.
So when did this trip to the casino take place?
It was in March, between March and April. I can look on my phone is charging up.
So about 5 or 6 months ago?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you guys were friends at one point?
Oh, yes, sir. I had no problems with Mr. Fields. The only time I had a problem with Mr. Fields is, and I'm not going to bring, because that's his old, I told him before that I didn't want him to talk to me or my friends or my guests because he was being inappropriate with them. And they came to me. And so if my guests in my home are uncomfortable, then I'm uncomfortable and I have to address that issue. So I addressed that issue. And I said, told Mr. Fields to cease all conversation with me, all communication with me and my guests. And I went downstairs and I told the resident assistant, I had them log it into the computer, what was going on, and that we no longer wanted to affiliate ourselves with him. And that was before even the casino time. And so I didn't speak to Mr. Fields and for about maybe almost a year, until this past January or December, when I came back from Texas. He knocked on my door and said that there was some food over there at the other building that the Knights of Columbus had brought over for the veterans. And I was getting dressed anyway. And I said, well, thank you. That was awful nice of you. I said, I appreciate that. That was my first interaction with him after the almost a year of not speaking with him. And so then that boiled down, he started coming back down to the house. And I said, okay, I'm gonna let that water be under the bridge. Where we had a discussion about the inappropriateness. That still continued on even then. And so I stayed pretty much my distance, and I wouldn't engage myself, but he came down to my home. I mended his pants, probably sometime in March or April. What else did I do?
Did he just say I mended his pants? Did he just say I mended his pants? What did he just say? My brain heard he mended his pants. Is that what you heard too? Mended his pants? Y'all, we gotta go back. We gotta go back. Did you bring a lookbook for us, sir, to show us your body of work?
I mean, I did it sometime in March, on even then, and so I stayed pretty much my distance, and I wouldn't engage myself. But he came down to my home. I mended his pants, probably sometime in March or April. What else did I do? I mean, I did everything. I even wished him happy. I cooked him food. I wished him a happy Father's Day. That's the last time that I said to any messages to Mr. Field was that a happy Father's Day. And against the allegation of Mr. Fields saying that I was behind him yesterday, that's not true, Your Honor. I went upstairs to the 4th floor to get my friend Saka, who is going to help me with some issues I have, some stuff I had to do. And so he wasn't home. He stayed on the 4th floor. So I pushed the elevator, and I got in the elevator from the 4th floor, and I went back down to my floor, which is the 2nd floor. And when I got down to the 2nd floor, when the elevator opened up, there was Mr. Fields there. Why he was on the 2nd floor, I don't know. And so I just politely just walked on by, didn't say anything to him, and went into my room, and that was it. I never followed him into Albertsons. I never said any of those things to him at all. And I read the petition, and and it said that I called him names like the N-word, and then had rape in parentheses. And I've never did anything like that or said anything like that. I don't even talk like that. True that.
Let me hear, since you're there with you, let me hear from Mr. Klingberg next. I know it's a little bit out of order. Mr. Klingberg, could you raise your right hand? You swear and affirm the information you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
And do you guys live together?
No, I'm his. Can I put my hand down?
Yes, of course. Sorry.
I'm his caregiver, and he pretty much needs around the clock care, so yeah, I pretty much stay here, but I'm not actually living here.
Got it. Go ahead. I'll hear from you on this issue, on these issues.
Well, as far as the money thing, I didn't know that I owed him anything. He offered to pay me $100 to take him, so to let him ride with us to the Emerald Queen Casino, you know, because he didn't have a ride or whatever.
The Emerald Queen Casino. I know that casino. That is in the Pacific Northwest, of course. Of course. The Emerald Queen Casino. Oh, that's so funny. I've never been there, but I just have heard that on like television. That's so funny. I know I'm your girlfriend. I loved your comment yesterday about the dabs. It was very funny. I want to set up a night where I do some dabs on stream. Can I do that? Am I allowed? I think I'm allowed to do that. It's legal. It's nice to see you. Roll on G. True that means he's being honest for sure.
So he offered to pay me $100. We go out to the casino and we're on our way back. And now he wants to argue and cuss at us about it and debate what he said he would pay me, you know. And I don't like to argue. I'm not a drama guy, you know. And so I was just like, dude, you said $100. $100 is what it should be. He didn't even give me the $100 in the end. It was I don't know what it was. I can't remember, but it wasn't no $100. And I was okay with that, you know. And running the car down and running him down in my car, that's just absurd. I mean, he's walking, you know, like I would never try to harm a senior, let alone a veteran. You know, yeah. I have no quarrel with the dude. I don't speak to him on any level. We're all gonna run past each other in the hallways or going outside. You know, we live in the same building. You know, we're bound to run into each other, right? You know, and I don't ever talk to him. I don't ever look at him. I don't even acknowledge that he is there because we've had problems. And he has targeted me before, which is another police problem that happened just recently. It was like maybe a month ago, something like that.
Tell me about that.
Well, I was helping, we had a neighbor two doors down on the same floor as us. His name was Dennis. And he was leaving, you know, he got evicted from here. So I was just helping him move because there wasn't anybody else that would help him. He only had a few little things left, you know, enough to fill a car or two. And I was literally in his room, picking things up with both hands, you know, lifting like you would. And I take it all the way down the stairs, and I was stuffing my car, stuffing his car, you know, not even noticing anything else going on.
I was stuffing him's car, and I was being stuffed in things in my car. Terrible, Paisley. Absolutely terrible.
I was completely focused on, you know, getting this stuff done because it was hot as hell that day. Excuse my language. And, you know, we put the last things in the car. Dennis gets in his car and he's already pulling out of his parking spot as I'm getting into my car. But I see Dennis stopped talking to somebody, and it is Mr. Fields. And, you know, so I'm just like, okay, so I get in my car and started waiting for him to get done talking so we can go. I was going to follow him to a storage unit. And at some point I noticed Dennis start to, like, I guess you could say he was trying to holler at me, you know, but my windows were up. So he signaled for me, right? And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And he says, he's trying to find his phone and it's somewhere in this area. And Mr. Fields instantly comes directly toward me, toward my car. Oh, it automatically has to be in my car, you know? And so Dennis, being the good guy he is, and me too, he's like, well, if you want us to sit here and wait, you know, until you find your phone, you know, just to prove that it wasn't us or in our cars, then we can do that. So we did that. And yeah, we pretty much sat there. He called the cops and insisted that it was in my car or Dennis's car, mainly mine. And when the cop showed up, she was like, she pretty much, I wouldn't say she laughed it off, but she knew it wasn't in our cars. She knew we had nothing to do with this.
Let me hear from Mr. Schwenning. Mr. Schwenning, can you activate your camera for a minute? All right, could you raise your right hand, please? You swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
I'll hear from you.
So on July 9th, I was involved in an incident that led to the filing of a police report, which is central to why we are here today. The report was officially filed by an officer's schedule, but I remember the Officer Magdaleno, which is also who Mr. Terrence mentioned as well. She was the one who interacted with me directly over the phone after the incident. I had already left the scene and returned to my apartment, so Officer Magdaleno called me and we discussed what happened there. The police report makes some key points that I'd like to highlight. First, there's audio video footage of the incident that has been uploaded to evidence.com, which clearly shows
did you hear that, Mikey? First of all, we'd like to talk about the evidence that we've uploaded to evidence.com. I would just like to believe that that has nothing to do with the court. I choose to believe that evidence.com is not related to the court, but has an upload feature that dumbasses use, like these guys. What a case, Mikey, what a case. How are you doing? We are having quite the night. This is the second case, and they're saying bad words. I mean, not as bad as last night's words, but seriously, like, I swear to God, like, evidence.com. Can somebody check that? Is that real? I believe that it's, is it like, maybe it's an info phishing scam.
what happened that day. During the conversation with Officer Magdaleno, she noticed that I was she noted that I was genuinely afraid this situation would only get worse if nothing was done. But I was also worried that taking action could lead to more retaliation from Tyree. Unfortunately, that is what happened. And a few weeks later, Tyree placed empty cat food cans under the tire of my car, which clearly meant that his intent was malicious. And there is also video footage of that as well, which is being submitted to the police. Additionally,
what did happen, Mr. Schwenning? What did happen that led to the police being called?
She came out. I later found out that he was accusing me of stealing phones. I didn't know anything about that day on July 9th. I never heard anything about phones being stolen until the 27th when she called me again and we discussed the case again. That's when she told me that there was no need to mention it to you because I know you didn't take it. I know those guys didn't take it. She really did. She was pretty clear on that. She also made some statements. Let's see. Said she attempted to contact Tyree. She said, I attempted to contact Tyree to obtain his side of the story, but every time I called, his phone went straight to voicemail. Based on my investigation, I will be forwarding charges against Tyree Fields for threats of intimidation and harassment to the Olympia Municipal Attorney for review. And I also have a police report on that with.
Whoa. Are you moving in on Mikey's territory saying that you're Mikey, or was that a typo and you were saying hi?
That being said, I'm also filing a cross anti-harassment order against him. I'm in school, Your Honor, and I'm also in the process of moving to a different unit. None of us really need this time to be wasted. You don't need your time to be wasted. Some other communications with the property management. This is directly from her. She said, Josh, I just want to make you aware that we are proceeding with the legal process in regards to the multiple incidents with Tyree. I want you to be aware that he is being served with legal documents that, due to the police report and incident, have your name listed as a complainant. In regards to the incident with your car and the cat food can, we do not show or give residents camera footage. However, I would like to highly suggest you to proceed with obtaining a protection order. We are, of course, willing to provide the police or courts with any requested documents or camera footage that they may need in this process. Please inform staff and law enforcement of any additional incidents and or concerns that you have. And this communication from the property management, which I received on August 6th, clearly indicates that Tyree is anti-harassment order filed later on August 21st is not only frivolous, but also appears to be retaliatory. Both the property management and Officer Magdaleno advised me to file a protection order.
Jesus Christ, Mikey, you're starting rumors. Which is only fair. I do recall some rumors being started of once upon a time. If anybody doesn't know, apparently Irish Demon is in North Carolina, but somehow closer to Creed than Mikey because of geography, I guess. I don't really know. But I don't know. Do you think they're hanging out? Are you sad that you didn't get an invite? Is that what's happened here? I feel like if anybody got invited out of that equation, it would be you. Just saying.
And I'm currently in the process of doing that. I'll have that submitted along with all the communications with property management. I'll have the police report as well. And I also have a declaration from staff included that will be included in the anti-harassment order. See, there's also something else that I do want to bring to the court's attention. Tyree has repeatedly disclosed details about my mental health in his filings, which is a serious violation of my privacy. This kind of information is protected by my healthcare information, and that's a clear violation. I will definitely point those out in his petition. And taking all of this into account, the harassment, the retaliation, the violation of my healthcare privacy, and the defamatory statements, I believe it's crucial for the court to grant my request for a cross anti-harassment order, which in that time I'll defend against the false claims Tyree has made and to seek the protection I was advised to get back in July.
Does HIPAA, sorry, my button wouldn't click. That's what she said. Does HIPAA apply to random people? Yes, see, it doesn't. I think that Josh did some research though, but I feel like it might have been meth fueled, allegedly, one time, maybe like a one long evening, you know, into the next day. But he didn't use today, unlike some other people, allegedly.
And moving on to the items and the sections of the petition that he filed, there's a lot of things I'd like to point out. In the first section, what kind of protection order do you want? The item is choose the type of protection order that best fits your situation. Tyree Fields was instructed to check only one type of protection order that best fits his situation. However, he checked multiple options: domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, and anti-harassment. This excessive contradictory selection suggests a lack of understanding or an attempt to exaggerate the situation. The next section, how do the parties know each other? The item is check all the ways the protected person is connected or related to the restrained person. The issue with this is that Fields checked. Yes, sorry.
To stop you for a second, you know, what's helpful to me, you know, people who fill out these orders, you and Mr. Fields, I assume you're not lawyers. People make mistakes on those all the time. I don't put a whole lot of, I mean, that's not really germane to my decision whether or not I'm going to enter an order or not. So you don't need to point that stuff out to me. What I want to know is, you've told me a lot about what's happened and the interaction you've had between the two of you and all of that, which I do appreciate. So you don't need to, I expect people to make mistakes and check wrong boxes and things of that sort. So do you have anything you wish to say about the interactions you've had between Mr. Fields and yourself?
Yeah, I do actually. So, let's see. Fields wrote, Joshua came to my room to connect my streaming system, Google Speaker. He uses my, this is a quote, he uses my Wi-Fi daily. Going to school for computers, he came to my room, he was nude. I mean, we have cameras in the apartment building, Your Honor. This, again, this is just frivolous. This is baseless. These are false accusations. Let's see. Fields checked multiple items, including this. Oh, sorry. I already read that part. Let's see. The stalking behavior item. In item C, there's no evidence just to support a claim of stalking. I have had no inappropriate contact with Mr. Fields. Mr. Fields was new to the community. We met I was taking out the trash. He was in the smoking section, and I overheard him is talking about his router getting hacked. And I'm in cybersecurity. That's my major in school. So I mean, it sparked my curiosity. I was interested in engaging. So I did, and I offered some service at network security. You know, it's what I'm doing in my class right now, network security. Not now, but at that time, I was doing some network security for Cisco, and I was very much interested in expanding my experience. So I did that, and I started out was free. Then
Hold on, you were working in cybersecurity for Cisco and you wanted to expand your experience, so you were helping an elderly man that lives in your building with his router? What? That doesn't make any sense. That's actually really weird. I think you would avoid any sort of thing like that.
it ended up to be a continuous thing. It turned out to be like what was supposed to be like 10 minutes turned into like 3 days. And each of those 3 days was just like a couple of hours. He kept trying to find ways to keep me in his apartment. It got to the third day. He had me in his phone trying to have his Samsung photos synced with his phone or with his Microsoft account. And along in there, he had me come across some nude photos, and I immediately looked up and I saw him making a glass of alcohol drink, and I left. And since then, yeah, I have not had any contact with him. He's also came to my door aggressively, pounding on my door, demanding for money. I don't owe him any money, Your Honor. That's, again, these are just false accusations. Let's see. Also, he's checked that I have firearms. I don't have firearms, Your Honor. The policies on the lease agreement says that we are not supposed to have firearms on the premises, and that is just another false accusation. Let's see.
Let me hear from Mr. Johnson there, Mr. Schwenning.
Okay. Yes. Sorry.
That's okay. Mr. Johnson, you're on the telephone there? Can you unmute? *6 will unmute you.
Okay, I didn't know the phone went to mute.
Okay.
Thank
yeah,
you.
we probably did that. Could you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, sir.
Do you swear and
Yes,
affirm
raised.
the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Hold on, what the fuck is going on over here with Buddy? His eyes just opened, but he's had them closed for a long time here. What in the actual fuck is going on? Oh my god. He was nodding out. And listen, you guys know I do lots of things naked. Lots and lots of things naked. But actually that brings to mind a story about a cable guy coming over, but that will have to be a very exclusive members only. But something's going on here. I think we do have a Mr. Johnson, a Mr. Schlong. Is there schlong and schwimming? Schwinning?
Go ahead, I'll hear from you.
My relationship to Mr. Fields started back in March, and I had invited him over for a dinner. And he decided he liked the way I cooked and wanted to hire me as a caregiver that made meals for him. And it turned out to be very problematic. I told him that I have a permanent disability that's neuromuscular and skeletal. And I wouldn't be able to work full-time, barely part-time hours, maybe. And we ended up having to narrow it down to 10 hours a week because of the demands. I think he's probably a little upset about that I actually quit that job on April the 8th, where I had only been working for him for about a total of a month and 1 week as a caregiver. It was just requiring too much of my personal time to be able to take care of myself and meet my own needs. He says that I have harassed him, and I haven't even had a word to say to him in the last 4 months, in which I was very glad to keep it that way. Just trying to, keep the peace because we do live in close proximity to each other. I've never made any threats to him. I haven't ever stalked him. I look at these accusations, the allegations.
I've never nodded out because I'm an upper girl, not a downer girl myself, but it is so cringy when you see somebody nodding out like that and they're supposed to be like focused, right? Like, jeez. Jeez, Louise.
And none of them are true.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to circle back to Mr. Fields. We've heard a lot. And so clear this up for me. Who owes you money? You're in the position
of Michael Johnson.
Oh,
he owes me for the car.
The car?
Yes, sir. It's $5,000.
I don't know, it bothers some people, but I can do stimulants and then sleep immediately. I have this ability to just sleep whenever I want, even on drugs. So, but I've stayed up for 3 days at a time, probably more, but I tend to be able to sleep when I want, so, but yuck. Yuck.
Mr. Joshua, I have his text message where I gave him money and for me to come upstairs and get the money. That's what happened on July 9th. That's when he closed the door. Prior to that, he has owed me money because of something with Amazon and he never paid me back. That's a total of $450. For Terrence Allen, it's $1,000, and for
what's that? No, I'm just here. Just let me ask the questions and get the answers, and then I'll give a ruling on this, Mr. Schwenning. So just wait a minute. Go ahead.
Okay, Terrence Allen is $1,000, and Stephen is $1,000, and I have their text messages. Mr. Swimmer has been he has records of being theft, a burglar, and for harassment. And that's what he did to me in my home because he was putting in the computer in my room.
Is that Mr. Schwenning you're
That's
talking
Mr.
about?
Swain. That's the one that I also have he was actually, he has harassment. I have the case number. He has DWLS, 3rd degree. He also charged for burglary and for theft. I also have those case numbers. And he was actually fined for theft, $35,000, and for burglary, $20,000. And that's through Thurston County. He does harass me consistently. And that's why we're having these issues. And he also owes me money as well. Mr. Allen also has DWLS 3rd degree, and he was found guilty in 1, 2, 3 different counties and Thurston County. Mr. Stephen, he came out of jail, of being in jail for 9 years and became his caregiver. And now they're living together in the apartment. He does carry a knife every single day inside the building. There is absolutely cameras. Sometimes on certain floors, they don't work, but coming inside the building, it does work. And that's why I went to management myself because of what they have been doing. The camera on the side, when they went across the street, that's when they had Stephen's car. Terrence was in front of me and Stephen was behind me. As well as, like I said, they followed me to the store, they followed me to the gas station and Albertsons. And they get to the point where I don't even leave the house because they're always there. And that's one of the reasons why I did the small claims court. When I went to the police
Hang on,
department.
I'm gonna stop you here. Now, you've made claims against them in small claims?
Yes, I have.
Are those scheduled for hearing?
Yes, sir.
When?
I think you put it in, it's like, I think it's like a month or so.
Okay.
You remember the dates?
So-
Put on there? She, I'm sorry, I'm asking my caregiver because she writes down the dates and stuff for me. But it's on the calendar. It's like in a month, I believe. Let me look on the calendar. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, for October.
I was just asking out of curiosity.
Yes, October. Yes, sir.
So, I'm ready to issue rulings on these cases.
Okay.
Okay, and so,
Your Honor.
yes, Mr. Johnson. Yes,
If I may-
Mr. Johnson.
If I may, I'm a little tired here. I did forget to mention, yes, I did wreck his truck.
Just a second. I'll get to that in a minute. All right.
All right.
Relation as well.
With that?
For both. For the truck, he had
Yeah,
to send.
the truck.
this
Okay,
to the-
let me get to the truck.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So what's here now is not the truck. What do you want to say something, ma'am?
Yes, there was, I'd like to say something in behalf of Tyrese being a caregiver. I don't know about him being a caregiver.
Okay, so
but-
hang on, ma'am, just a second. The only thing I want to know is if you have any information about what's alleged to have been going on with these folks.
Well, I
And
don't
if it's, and
know.
if you got it from him, that's one thing.
No,
If you
no,
witness
this is
things.
all me, has nothing to do with any of this going on, what I observed.
Okay,
The reason why on number 2, we go to number 2 is that's the only place for the laundry facility.
okay, so hang on just a
Yes,
second,
no.
ma'am, just a second. If you're going to testify, you need to be sworn in. Could you
Oh,
raise your right hand?
Yes, sir.
You swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, for him being on floor 2, these gentlemen know that's the only floor. Number 2, number 3 is the laundry facility.
Okay,
So when I'm not there taking care of laundry or whatever, between 4 and 9 or on, he goes and does the laundry. So that's the reason why he's on 2nd floor. Gentlemen. Number 2, he's highly allergic to cats. He does not have cat food. He would not put cat food under somebody's car to kill somebody's cat, which was mentioned. He carries around EpiPen because he's highly allergic to cats. And the other stuff, I witnessed a couple hostilities between the gentlemen there when I would come into work.
which gentleman?
The one in the purple and tie, I do believe he cut his hair or something. He usually has it up, pointed up in the
Okay.
air. Or whatever.
Is he the
And-
one who went to the casino?
No, this was in the last couple days, few days. It's all tied back and cleaned up. He was
Okay.
very nice and handsome. Anyway, I was coming in and Tyree was talking to me and he turned around and snapped at Tyree and verbally assaulted him. And I said, "Oh wow, we're angry and bitter." He
So I don't
said,
even know who
"No."
you're talking about, ma'am. Which one are you talking about?
The gentleman in the
Terrence
purple
Allen.
shirt.
Yeah, the one with the tie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he says, "Oh, I just don't like people being in my," and he was cussing, he was raising a voice at me. It wasn't really towards me, but it was towards him. So I witnessed a couple little hostility things and a little animosity. And the gentleman in the blue, I've seen him outside. He does pack a knife. I've seen it. When I went to his car one evening and another time since then. So he does pack a knife. I'm sure it's for protection for out there. I mean, everybody carries a knife or a weapon of whatever choice, but I feel that maybe.
What? That was so weird. That was so weird. Obviously, everybody carries a weapon of their choice for the purge that could happen at any time. We are all prepared, Your Honor, but his knife is big. What on earth? Somebody is putting some meth in the water.
That was a threat towards him, even though he probably didn't mean it as a threat. It was still a threat because of the animosity going on between these people in the building. Secondly, about the hacking, yes, I've had to take my tablet and my phone in and have Motorola and Verizon. Took them 2 days. Somebody in his apartment, in his room, has hacked my phone and my tablet when I go to put my hours in for my work. I work for Consumer Direct Network as a caregiver. And it took them 2 days to resolve it so I can have my phone and stuff. And then I went back to his
Do you have
home.
any idea who did that?
No, is somebody there that is hacking? And that's what he said, turn off all your Wi-Fi before you go in and everything. I do that and somebody would turn the Wi-Fi back on just 2 days ago. I was there and they hacked into my stuff again. And I had to go to Verizon again. And they said somebody in that building is a hacker and hacking into your equipment.
Objection, hearsay, relevance, assumes facts not in evidence, speculation. This is every fucking objection there is. And also, yeah, I had to unbutton my shirt. I got one button left because Buddy over here unbuttoned his shirt and I felt the need. Indeed.
Okay. You can go be seated there, ma'am.
Thank
you. Your Honor,
No, Mr. Allen, I've heard enough. Okay.
Okay.
Let me give a ruling here. And then if you want to respond following my ruling, you can.
Sure.
Okay. So what's in front of me, I've heard a lot of things about a lot of things, but what's in front of me are 4 petitions for anti-harassment. You know, anytime anyone's a petitioner or a plaintiff in any sort of lawsuit, whether it's of this sort or small claims, which apparently is coming down the pike, yeah, they have a responsibility. They have to show by a preponderance of the evidence that it's more likely than not that the action actually took place. In this case, frankly, Mr. Fields, I don't find that burden has been met. And so I'm not going to enter orders against any of these folks. Okay, so that doesn't address, if someone's hacking you, ma'am, I don't, yes, you should do something about it, but I certainly can't tell who did that. And it doesn't sound like you have any idea who that did either. Mr. Fields, if any of these folks owe you money, you can certainly pursue that in terms of small claims. And apparently you're doing that. That's not going to be resolved now in front of this case. That's in front of, and I'm not sure when it is. I might be on the bench when those things come before the court on small claims, but that'll be handled there. This isn't the place to determine who owes who what. But with regard to, I mean, you live in the same place, you're going to run into each other. Apparently, at one point you were able to get along where you were given rides to casinos and so forth. That doesn't look like that's the case anymore. But you're going to run into each other. That's just the way that is. Having said all that, I'm not going to enter orders today. For you folk, you four, Mr. Allen, Johnson, Schwenning, and Klingberg, you guys need to, I would suggest, be on your best behavior out there now. You know that Mr. Fields doesn't want anything to do with you folks at this point. So don't acknowledge him, don't engage him, don't do anything that could be misinterpreted by anybody to terms of harassment, because if this keeps up and he comes back, the result might be different next time if he can show that this is a pattern that continues. And I see you nodding, Mr. Allen. I hope you agree and understand that, and I hope everybody else does too. But that's what I'm going to do here for today.
Yes, sir.
And you can get the denial orders will be filed, and folks can get those off the Thurston County District Court website.
Awesome.
And you
Thank
folks
you.
are free to leave the Zoom call. Mr. Fields, you're free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Wait, though, he's not happy.
That was the ruling?
These stay
Yep.
together here.
You're free to go, Mr. Johnson.
All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And I'm gonna take a copy of this camera, and he didn't even see the police report, so I'm gonna go get it. It's crazy. He walks around the knife every single day, and they don't do anything about it. I'm gonna protect myself. Those go in there, and then these go in this one. No.
Just keep records and keep calling the police and they
No, that's what she told me. It's called the police again.
keep calling the police and then that will be record enough for the judge. Is that
Apparently that's not
everything
enough.
has to be documented.
No, this one, that's that one. Joshua's. That's it. Thank you.
Is this theirs or yours?
It's mine. It was a side of the thing.
So I'm gonna put this like this with
Yes,
Joe
ma'am.
and then
Okay.
like that.
And these go together. Those are yours.
He has so much paper.
He's the one that put the computer in. That's why we're getting that. He did it on the computer.
I know, but we have to do it.
I know.
Like sometimes-
Give him another
There's that
motor.
lovely.
sometimes
Oh, sir, I understand. You lost the case because you didn't drink your Gatorade. You didn't even open it. Oh my God. Sir. No doubt. No doubt. Let's just finish this out, though. Maybe we'll see him. I don't know.
two hats and you can have, you know, might have to just-
Well, it is. I'll go and get it. Take these out and put a new one in.
Make sure you write your police reports, that way it's all documented. And you don't have to pass you outside.
Christopher Engleby.
Record it, and they'll give you.
Well, that's why I went to the bottom floor, so I don't have to see it out.
Get out of that building, you can't just prove that. I know. It's gonna get worse now.
I know. It's fine.
You got horrible witnesses. You got more of a
The
witness.
guy who saw him outside. I'll have you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a
Thank you.
good day.
Good talk to you both, sir.
Sorry for being late. That's
That's all right.
I didn't realize the judge was still there. Is there anything else you want to say, Judge, before we say goodnight? The answer is no. Please don't make me be the judge when they come to small claims court. I can't handle it. Honestly, I feel bad for the judge in this situation because it's terrible. Imagine becoming a lawyer and then working hard and becoming a judge and then realizing that you worry about petty ass people and trees and the like, easement issues, etc., 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 etc. Courtney, I wish we had another one. I don't tonight. That'll be for tomorrow. I have some chores to do tomorrow, so that's good because I already have the court that we're ready for tomorrow. But I've got some contentious stuff. Don't you worry, it'll be good. MB would love it. I know, and I bet you would be great at it. Oh, and you know what? If you lived in Washington, you could probably be high while doing it. Maybe not while doing it technically, but I mean, if you get good at being high like me, you can be high every minute of the day. And nobody really bothers. They're not bothered by it, right? All my jobs I've done high. Except for a student. When I was a student, I was not high and I was terrible. Terrible student. Anyways, no, I'm not phoning it in. We do it every day and twice on Sundays. I think I've been streaming for the whole summer straight. Didn't miss a day for the whole summer. That's a lot. That's pretty good. Even if I have been high the whole time. Anyways, if you are new here, please make sure you subscribe, turn gifting on, and leave me a comment. I read each and every single one of your comments. I really enjoy them, and they mean a heck of a lot to me. So, do that, and also remember a few things. Tomorrow is indeed Thursday. Thursday is the day where we watch court. That's every day. I'm stalling while I gather the other video that we need. Thanks, guys. I love you. I'm proud of you. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Stalling and yet still falling.